So Napoleon's back in the news. Ridley Scott's movie may be an Oscar juggernaut, or it may be a disjointed, inaccurate mess. But there is no doubt that Napoleon, or the historical Napoleon, was both a military genius and a political mastermind who dominated life in the early 19th century. He was also famously very short indeed. And yes, probably he was an egomaniac and almost definitely a total ass. But damn, did he know how to set goals and achieve them. And he certainly knew how to win. So let's take a look at what Le Tondu, and you can look that up, can teach us today about achieving goals and winning at life in general. There's a famous story about Napoleon during the Second Italian War of Independence at the Battle of Marengo in 1800. Napoleon was doing his usual thing and had picked a fight with Austria, but things weren't going well. In fact, things were going south in a hurry, and all of Napoleon's generals and marshals were panicking and insistently telling him that he needed to get out of there, like immediately. Now you can imagine the chaos, bombs going off everywhere, men running around in panic, screams of men and horses being blown to bits by the enemy artillery. But Napoleon was just sat in his tent listening to his marshals begging him to make a retreat. And he turned to his generals and simply said, well, no retreat, we're going to attack. You see, Napoleon had already formulated a plan to counterattack that no one else had thought of. So he got on his horse and he rallied his demoralized troops and he led them back into battle. The question is, how the hell does anyone stay so calm amidst that level of chaos and panic? Well, the answer is lesson 1. Believing in yourself matters. Believing in yourself matters more than anything else. And yet, building that unshakable self-belief isn't easy. Very few of us are born with a Napoleonic level of self-confidence. And however pitiful our own level of self-confidence is, well, it can be grown and it can be nurtured. And you might ask, well, how? Well, you build it by making promises to yourself, commitments you follow through on. Because you see, self-belief is fundamentally about trust. It's about trusting you will do what you say you will, and actions carry weight. By making and keeping promises to yourself, well, you demonstrate your dependability and trustworthiness. Now, if you don't have much self-belief to start with, then, well, you have to start small. You have to set yourself achievable goals, and then you have to be really super anal about doing them. Because over time, this will build up a demonstrable history of achieving what you say you will achieve. And it's this that will begin to develop your self-confidence and the belief you have in yourself. Now, you or I might never become a Napoleon and set goals that will transform the history of Europe or the world, but we might be able to set just a few goals that could actually transform our own lives. But if self-belief is the core of what it takes to win at life, then the next lesson provides the engine that actually gets things done. But before we get to that, if you're enjoying this video, then please press the like button. It sends a signal out into space, up to YouTube, so that YouTube will think, oh, this is a good video, I'll share it to more people, which really helps me out, so thanks. So another day, another war. It's 1878, and Napoleon is in Egypt this time, fighting not only the Mamluk forces, try saying that, but also the scorching heat of the North African desert. It's Battle of the Pyramids, and Napoleon was showing his men how it was done. You see, Napoleon wasn't the kind of leader to sit in a tent miles away from the action, sipping wine and looking at his maps. No. He liked to be up to his elbows in the day-to-day muck of battle. Now, as the battle raged on, Napoleon's energy and commitment remained a steady force. He seemed impervious to the oppressive conditions, tirelessly rallying his troops all around him. You see, now this is another of Napoleon's lessons. Behind the scenes, Napoleon had invested hours, if not days, planning and meticulously preparing all of his forces. You see, because he understood the value of working his ass off to ensure victory. The intensity with which he led the charge on the battlefield was just another example of his 100% commitment. And this is lesson 2. Hard work beats talent every time. If you want to succeed, you have to work harder than 99% of people around you. You see, it's hard to beat the person that keeps showing up day after day after day, because it's not about skills and talent anymore. It's about determination and desire. So when we commit to a goal, we have to also fully commit to achieving it. Otherwise, well, what's the point? As Napoleon himself put it, victory belongs to those who persevere. It's now 1806 and Napoleon is at it again. This time he's picked a fight with Prussia. But on the morning of the battle, the weather is shocking. A dense fog has fallen and no one can see past their own noses. It's chaos. Now, as the fog of war descends, the Prussian forces hesitate. They're paralyzed by the poor visibility and the uncertainty of the invisible terrain. Napoleon, guessing that the Prussians are being crippled by indecision, acts decisively. He orders his troops to rush the Prussian defences. Napoleon saw the chaos of the situation and has turned it to his advantage. By exploiting the confusion, Napoleon disrupts the Prussian defences and goes on to win the day. And this is lesson number 3. Learn to work with chaos. The chaos is never far away. We might think we're in control of our lives, but there's going to come a day when your world will be rocked by some major life event that happens to you while you were making other plans. When the chaos descends, there are 4 things that you can do to navigate through it. Number 1, look at it straight in the eye. Don't panic, but try to accept that things have changed radically, and now you need to understand how. If you cling to what was happening before the chaos arrived and you get into blaming yourself or others or the world in general, well, then you won't be able to see the opportunities hiding in the chaos. Number 2, in the midst of chaos, you will make decisions that aren't the right ones. You'll put too much weight on the wrong factor, or you'll get distracted by something, or you'll spend too much time on something that isn't important anymore. So instead of trying to eliminate mistakes, learn to leverage them to educate yourself about the way things are now. 3, don't get caught up in either or thinking. Don't think that you have to pick from choice A or B where both of them seem terrible, because in the stress of the moment, it's easy to get tunnel vision and restrict your thinking. Try not to let that happen. Learn to generate more options, C, D, and E. Finally, number 4, when chaos descends, many people just stop making decisions. They become paralyzed like the Prussians. Your goal is to be more like Napoleon. Keep examining what the chaos has brought. Keep thinking, keep generating options, and keep moving forward. And maybe keep watching my channel by clicking on this video up here.